How amazing are art materials? The book Craft in Art Therapy, edited by Lauren Leone, enhanced some of the understandings I already had a good grasp of, but also gave me some new information to weave into my future as an art therapist. This presentation is going to focus on just a few of them, starting with the therapeutic benefits of craft, moving into the concept of flow, then discussing some cultural relevancy of craft, and ending with my understanding of the expressive therapies continuum. There are many therapeutic properties of craft, including kinesthetic and sensory properties, making it a more accessible art form for those who don't consider themselves artists, and allows for a greater range of skill levels. Creates a sense of agency through mastering new skills and a potential for greater socialization. So this is Penny. She's my mom. She doesn't consider herself to be artistic, but she is a crafter. Her main modes of making are crochet and paper crafts using her Cricut. She's going to share with us how crafting is therapeutic for her.
But crocheting, definitely. It's a group of women, really nice to get together, and we just talk. We talk about our families. We talk about just all kinds of things in our life, and it is really nice and really relaxing. And I know if any of us ever needed anything, we're there for each other and concerned about each other and all of those things.
You can see how this acts as a third space for my mom. Penny also shares how making crafts gives her a sense of agency and helps her feel like she is mastering new skills.
It's easy to work with, and it cuts it precisely. I don't have to do all of that. I can just put it together, and I feel like what I make looks better than if I started from scratch all on my own. I can use other people's files, but I can also edit them and change them to exactly what I want, but it gives me a starting ground to work with.
Flow is a state of mood improvement that persisted after completion of their crafting activity. So here's Penny again, sharing what a flow state feels like for her.
Because I get into it and I don't even realize what time it is, and all of a sudden it's the end of the day and it's supper time or whatever, and thinking about other things, just about getting my project in and just working at it one piece at a time. Relaxing. I have a window to look out at my craft room. It's a really, really nice place to be to do these things.
One of my favorite parts about being a teacher is watching my students in their own flow states. It becomes an extremely empowering experience when they're able to name this feeling and be able to recreate it for themselves. Because when they're able to access it for themselves, it allows for greater emotional regulation and self-efficacy. There are many connections to why craft is such a wonderfully cultural relevant way for us to reach our clients and connect with our clients. But listen to Marilyn Holmes describe what is missing in our professional art therapy space.
And I started working to also discuss a gap in literature, especially art therapy education literature. There is so much literature on teaching white art therapists how not to be racist towards non-white clients, but there is a significant lack of literature for non-white therapists on the receiving end of racism from clients, from other clinicians, from supervisors, and things like that. And I realized when I was in grad school that I was going to have to investigate a method of personal and effective containment, defining what a microaggression is and their effects on my practice as an art therapist.
And here, Marilyn Holmes discusses how she created that personal method to be able to contain the racism she experiences within the art therapy profession.
I was watching a nature documentary, and I learned that even though jellyfish have enough venom and toxicity within them to kill a grown man, to kill an elephant even, they actually can't sting themselves. So jellyfish can be in their own poison and not hurt themselves. And I found that to be just an excellent metaphor for thinking of the toxicity that I was taking in. And I trusted this jellyfish creature to hold my toxicity.
There is a significant lack of how we support non-white art therapists in our field. This only adds to the importance of incorporating craft into our art therapy practices. Bisa Butler is one of my very favorite artists. The fabrics that she uses originate from places where her family has originated. She even started by using fabric that was left over from her grandmother. Here she discusses a little bit about her process and how she integrates it with community and storytelling. And she also unknowingly demonstrates some of our expressive therapies continuum components.
And so I use African fabrics that have attached with them already allegories and folk tales to tell a story. There's one fabric that I used on a picture of a baseball team, and that fabric is called fish scales in one country, but it's also called a beehive. So I thought about a team and like this hive having to work together. So I'm using pattern to tell the story, and I'm also choosing it for aesthetic reasons for the way it looks. I also want to say that I layer my fabric, so the pieces are not put together like a jigsaw puzzle. It's layer upon layer upon layer like a topographical map. I start cutting all those pieces and I lay them right down on the cloth. But because I'm interested in quilting and this idea of actually fusing all these things together, I pin them like a sandwich and I put them on my quilting machine and I sew it all together. As I'm working with the quilt and I'm staring at somebody's photo for 200 hours, I mean, how many times have we looked at any photo that long? We've looked at ourselves that long. So I'm learning things about this person by studying their image carefully. How is their head tilted? How do they hold their hands? I'm trying to use all these clues to give me an insight what their inner self was like.
Here's a brief overview of my understanding of the expressive therapies continuum. The expressive therapies continuum consists of 3 levels: sensory and kinesthetic, perceptual and affective, and cognitive and symbolic, and each side balances the other. For example, when someone feels overwhelmed by sensory experiences, a therapist might introduce kinesthetic activities to help them regulate through physical actions. Running through the entire expressive therapies continuum is creativity, which serves as a unifying element, helping individuals express themselves, solve problems, and grow. It combines divergent thinking, which generates ideas, with convergent thinking, which organizes them into coherent solutions, focusing on innovation and understanding.